Kerr County officials and the public are questioning the chain of communication between federal, state, and local officials during the catastrophic flooding. Now, a Texas senator has introduced a bipartisan bill with a goal of improving and expanding federal weather radio so emergency communications reach the areas facing disaster. GMAT's Madeline McCrory is here now with the details on the bill and what it will entail. Good morning, Madeline.
Good morning. Senator Ted Cruz partnered with Democratic Senator Maria Cantwell of Washington to reintroduce this bill. They last introduced the bill in 2023, though it did not become law. This new version contains provisions to set standards for emergency communications in flood-prone areas. The legislation would modernize NOAA's Weather Radio All Hazards Network. The network covers 750 weather radio stations around the country, including 79 stations here in Texas. It is especially needed in places with poor internet connectivity to get hazard information to the area impacted. If the bill became law, it would require NOAA to upgrade the radio network to improve reliability and expand coverage to areas with bad service. It would also require the National Institute of Standards and Technology to develop standards for flash flood emergency alerts in 100-year floodplains. In a statement posted on Senator Cruz's website, he says that he is grateful to introduce legislation that would, quote, modernize early warning systems and ensure that every American, especially those in areas with poor or no cellular service, aren't kept in the dark when it matters the most. Some Kerr County officials and the public have mentioned they received little warning about the flood despite how quickly it swept through the hill country. The bill comes in hopes of ensuring a more effective way of communicating emergencies like this one. And we'll keep you updated on this bill's progress on Capitol Hill. Deanna, back to you.
All right, Madeline, thank you.